Did you know that modern engineers attempted to build a small 30-foot pyramid using ancient Egyptian methods and failed miserably? Meanwhile, the ancient Egyptians built the Great Pyramid of Giza, standing at 481 feet tall, with over 2.3 million stone blocks weighing up to 80 tons each, with such precision that you couldn't slide a credit card between the stones. How is this possible? The answer might challenge everything you thought you knew about human history. We've all seen the images: massive pyramids rising from the desert, elaborate temples with towering columns, and the enigmatic Sphinx staring eternally across the sands of time. But what if these weren't just impressive monuments built by a primitive civilization with simple tools? What if they were something far more significant? Today, we're going to explore the most mind-bending mysteries of ancient Egypt and why the conventional explanations simply don't add up. By the end of this video, you'll question everything you thought you knew about human history. Let's start with something that should be simple. How did they build the pyramids? The Great Pyramid of Giza contains over 2.3 million stone blocks, some weighing up to 80 tons. That's the weight of 16 adult elephants. These massive stones were quarried, transported, and placed with such precision that you couldn't slide a credit card between them. The conventional explanation? Thousands of workers using copper tools, wooden rollers, and ramps. But here's where it gets interesting. In 1997, a modern construction company attempted to build a small 30-foot pyramid using the methods historians claim the Egyptians used. They failed miserably. The blocks couldn't be moved with the precision required, and the project was abandoned. If modern builders with advanced technology can't replicate what the Egyptians did, what does that tell us about their capabilities? But it gets stranger. The Great Pyramid is aligned to true north with an accuracy of 0.05 degrees. That's more precise than the Greenwich Observatory in London was when it was first built. The pyramid's base is perfectly level with a margin of error of just 2.1 centimeters across its entire 13-acre foundation. Modern buildings with laser technology struggle to achieve this level of precision. Now, let's shift to something more relatable: the daily lives of ancient Egyptians. We tend to imagine ancient peoples as primitive, with basic living conditions. But archaeological evidence tells a completely different story. Excavations of worker villages at Giza revealed something shocking. These weren't crude huts, but carefully planned communities with sophisticated drainage systems, bakeries, and even healthcare facilities. Analysis of worker remains shows that they received medical treatment for injuries, including complex procedures like brain surgery and dental work. Yes, you heard that right. There's evidence of successful brain surgery from over 4,500 years ago. Skulls have been found with precise surgical cuts that show signs of healing, meaning the patient survived. Modern neurosurgery only became viable in the late 19th century. How did the ancient Egyptians possess this knowledge? And it's not just medicine. Egyptian homes had toilets and sewage systems. But here's where our story takes an unexpected turn. What if these weren't just isolated advancements? What if the ancient Egyptians possessed a unified body of knowledge that has been lost to time? Consider this. In the 1990s, researchers discovered that the layout of the pyramids at Giza perfectly matches the constellation of Orion's belt. Not just roughly, perfectly. The relative sizes of the pyramids match the relative brightness of the stars. The offset of the smallest pyramid matches the offset of the smallest star. Coincidence? Perhaps. But then explain this. Inscriptions in the Temple of Dendera appear to depict what looks remarkably like modern light bulbs, complete with filaments and power sources. Nearby, archaeologists found what appear to be ancient batteries, clay jars with copper and iron rods that produce electricity when filled with an acidic solution. The conventional explanation: the light bulbs are lotus flowers, and the batteries are religious artifacts. But if that's true, why have modern replicas of these religious artifacts successfully generated electricity? And here's where it gets truly mind-bending. The Great Pyramid encodes mathematical constants that we supposedly only discovered in recent centuries. The ratio of its perimeter to height multiplied by 2 gives you pi, 3.14159, to an accuracy of 99.9%. The pyramid also encodes the golden ratio, the exact dimensions of Earth, and the speed of light in a vacuum. How could a supposedly primitive civilization without advanced mathematics encode these values with such precision? Now, I'm not saying aliens built the pyramids. What I am saying is that the evidence suggests the ancient Egyptians possessed knowledge and technology far beyond what conventional history acknowledges. And this raises a profound question. What happened to this knowledge? Some researchers suggest that the Library of Alexandria's destruction wasn't just a loss of Greek and Roman texts, but the final repository of ancient Egyptian knowledge. Others point to evidence that certain knowledge was deliberately hidden, encoded in monuments and symbols, to be preserved through the ages. This brings us to the most disturbing question of all. Are we living in a kind of historical amnesia? Have we forgotten capabilities that our ancestors once possessed? Think about it. We're taught that human history is a straight line of progress, from primitive to advanced. But what if it's more like a wave, with civilizations rising and falling, knowledge gained and lost? The implications are staggering. If the ancient Egyptians could build structures we struggle to replicate today, what else might they have known? And what might we rediscover if we approach the evidence with fresh eyes? This isn't just academic curiosity. The ancient Egyptians created a civilization that thrived for over 3,000 years, longer than any other in human history. By comparison, our modern industrial civilization is barely 200 years old. Perhaps there are lessons in their sustainability, their architecture, their social structures that could help us solve modern problems. But here's the plot twist that changes everything. What if the most important legacy of ancient Egypt isn't their monuments or artifacts, but a way of understanding reality that we've lost? The Egyptians didn't separate science, art, and spirituality the way we do. For them, these were all aspects of a unified understanding of the cosmos. Their architecture wasn't just functional, it encoded mathematical principles. Their art wasn't just decorative, it preserved knowledge. Their religion wasn't just superstition, it was a framework for understanding humanity's place in the universe. In our hyper-specialized modern world, we've gained tremendous depth of knowledge in narrow fields, but perhaps lost the ability to see the connections between them. The Egyptians might have possessed a more integrated understanding, one that allowed them to achieve feats that still baffle us today. So where does this leave us? With more questions than answers? Certainly, but also with an invitation to curiosity. The next time you see an image of the pyramids or the Sphinx, Look beyond the postcard view. Ask yourself, what were they really building? What did they really know? The evidence is hiding in plain sight, waiting for us to see it with new eyes. The ancient Egyptians weren't primitive builders stumbling their way to impressive monuments. They were the inheritors and preservers of profound knowledge. Knowledge that might still have the power to transform our understanding of what's possible. The greatest mystery of ancient Egypt isn't how they built their monuments. It's why we're so resistant to acknowledging the full extent of what they achieved. Perhaps it's because doing so would force us to question our narrative of constant progress and our assumption that we're the most advanced civilization that's ever existed. Are you ready to question that assumption? The answer might change how you see not just the past, but the future of human potential. If you found this perspective mind-expanding, hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments. What aspect of ancient Egyptian knowledge would you most want to rediscover? And if you're hungry for more historical mysteries that challenge conventional wisdom, subscribe and hit the notification bell. The truth is out there. We just need the courage to see it.